Hello, what's the secret for today? Thousands of years ago, ancient Indian texts spoke of mysterious flying machines, Vimanas. Some writings describe flight routes, propulsion systems, and even aerial battles. In today's video, we will explore interesting inventions from this ancient world. Let's start. The Tale of Vimanas. The ancient Indian texts mention beautifully decorated chariots or entire palaces called Vimanas that were described as being capable of taking off and, in a matter of seconds, flying as far as space. While these Vimanas are traditionally considered part of Indian mythology, some enthusiasts speculate they may have been inspired by lost technological knowledge, though there is no scientific evidence to support this claim. According to the Vedas, ancient Indian religious texts, there were descriptions of Vimanas like the elephant Vimana with multiple engines, and others named after animals and birds. These texts mention different types of Vimanas, one for local travel, one for visiting distant lands, and even some said to travel to the moon and other planets. Some accounts even attribute them with fantastical capabilities like invisibility or immense speed, and one was described as spherical, driven by winds linked to Mercury, but producing a radiant light and thunderous noise. Operating a Vimana, according to these sources, required extensive knowledge, akin to a modern pilot's training. They described 32 secrets covering the craft's structure and navigation techniques. These included being able to appear and disappear, fly swiftly, and manage flight stability. Some texts reference the use of dark solar rays for propulsion, which is likely symbolic or allegorical. Further, ancient texts go into elaborate details on flight paths, pilot training, navigation systems, and even pilot attire and diet for extended journeys. They also mention heat-absorbing materials and melting points, which some interpret as technical details. Supporters of the Vimana theory argue that such descriptions seem too specific to be purely mythological. However, these interpretations remain speculative and are not supported by mainstream archaeology or aerospace science. Do you think the Vimanas were real machines or just ancient metaphors? Drop your theory below. While these flying machines ignite our imagination, what if the same civilization was also making groundbreaking advances in medicine? Meet a man who was performing surgeries long before modern hospitals existed. Sushruta, the surgical genius of 600 BCE. Before Western medicine began to take shape, even before Hippocrates became known in ancient Greece, there was a pioneering figure in ancient India redefining the art of healing. His name was Sushruta, a physician from the 6th century BCE, often regarded as the father of surgery. While some medical systems of the time included spiritual or mystical practices, Sushruta emphasized methodical observation and surgical technique. In his seminal text, the Sushruta Samhita, he described more than 300 surgical procedures, cataloged over 100 surgical instruments, and detailed numerous medicinal plants, a body of work that continues to draw respect from historians and scholars today. One of his most notable contributions addressed a harsh reality of his era: individuals who had been disfigured, often as a result of judicial or wartime punishments. Disfigurement, particularly facial, carried a severe social stigma. Sushruta responded not with judgment, but with innovation. He developed a technique using skin from the forehead to reconstruct the nose, an early form of rhinoplasty. Remarkably, modern reconstructive surgery still draws inspiration from this method. Sushruta's legacy goes beyond surgery. It reflects a deep compassion for those often cast aside. He didn't just mend wounds, he restored dignity. And in doing so, he earned a place among history's most visionary healers. Surgery wasn't the only sophisticated practice in ancient India. Strategy, intellect, and war planning were also refined into a powerful game, one that would change the world forever. Before exploring, I have a special 10-second request for all of you listening. If you can help me in any way, just hit the notification bell and hit that subscribe button. It helps this channel so much. And if you do that, I will do everything I can to make this show even better for you. Deal? Chess, born of war and wisdom. In ancient India, around 3000 BCE, a new kind of conflict was unfolding. The game was called chaturanga, meaning 4 limbs of the army: infantry, cavalry, elephants, and chariots. Like real battles, it was full of surprises. 4 players sat at each corner of a 64-square board, forming teams of 2 based on direction. Trust mattered, but so did deception. One wrong move could shift alliances instantly. Imagine crafting a strategy with your partner, only to see them eliminated in the next round, leaving you on your own. This was more than a game. It was a mental contest shaped by shifting loyalties. Players didn't use typical dice. Instead, they rolled an oblong die made from wood or bone, its uneven sides adding unpredictability, mirroring the chaos of real-life decisions. Each team commanded a miniature army: pawns, knights, bishops, and kings. What makes this ancient game even more compelling is its origin story. According to legend, it was invented by the wife of a powerful ruler named Raja. Her goal was to entertain her husband while teaching him that careful planning could triumph over brute force. Whether myth or metaphor, the message was timeless: wisdom often wins where strength fails. Chaturanga eventually spread west to Persia and Europe, evolving into the 2-player version we now know as chess. And while minds dueled over game boards, other Indian scholars were rewriting the rules of numbers themselves by giving value to nothing. 0, India's invisible superpower. Long before the modern world ran on code and digital pulses, an idea took shape in ancient India. The concept of nothing was recognized in many cultures, but turning that nothing into a usable number was a leap only a few minds could imagine. One of the most influential leaps came from Indian mathematicians around the 5th century CE, and it would eventually change the course of mathematics. While most ancient civilizations hesitated to incorporate 0 into their number systems, viewing it as a paradox or an empty concept, Indian scholars approached it with a new perspective. They gave nothing a place, a symbol, and most importantly, a function. Among them was the mathematician Brahmagupta, in 628 CE, was the first known to formulate rules for using 0 as a number in calculations, not merely as a placeholder. This innovation played a critical role in the development of the base 10 number system that is used worldwide today. Evidence of this intellectual shift can be seen in Gwalior, in central India, where the oldest recorded 0 is carved into a temple wall, a small circle etched in stone, dating back to the 9th century CE. Nestled between lines of Sanskrit, it appears modest, almost incidental. But that tiny dot helped pave the way for fields like calculus, astronomy, architecture, and the binary logic that underpins every modern computer. But numbers alone don't build civilizations. For that, you need engineers. And ancient India's builders were ahead of their time, down to the very inch. The precision of ancient engineers. Thousands of years ago, in the bustling cities of the Indus Valley civilization, ancient engineers demonstrated a level of planning and craftsmanship that continues to impress historians today. While many regions of the world were still in early developmental stages, the people of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, located in what is now present-day Pakistan and northwestern India, were crafting measuring tools from materials like ivory. These tools were not merely approximate or decorative, they featured carefully etched units just over an inch long, some subdivided into increments as fine as 1/5000th of an inch, according to some interpretations. Such precision is remarkable and suggests an advanced understanding of measurement, particularly in the context of the ancient world. These rulers were likely used for more than artisan crafts. They played a role in city planning, brick alignment, and the construction of sophisticated water systems and public structures. Archaeological evidence shows that streets were laid out in deliberate grids, Drainage systems ran beneath residences, and buildings exhibited a striking symmetry, suggesting intentional urban design. This was not primitive construction, it was thoughtful engineering. It invites us to reconsider what advanced really means. Because when you picture a person in 1500 BCE holding a ruler carved from polished ivory, using it to measure stone for a city's foundation, the ancient world starts to feel not only ancient but astonishingly modern in its ingenuity. Planning a city is one thing, but keeping trade honest across it? That's where another Indian innovation shines, one that laid the foundation for trust in commerce. Before the metric system, before kilos and pounds, even before rulers became widespread, there was order. And that order took root in the ancient markets of the Indus Valley civilization, more than 4,000 years ago. In this early hub of commerce, long before global trade was formalized, merchants in the region, now parts of modern-day India and Pakistan, used a remarkably consistent system of standardized weights. These small carved stones, each with precise values, enabled fair trade in items ranging from grains and spices to textiles and gemstones. These weights were not arbitrary, they followed a decimal-based structure, and some scholars suggest their patterns may even hint at binary-like logic, the foundational structure of modern computing. To offer a modern metaphor, imagine a pre-digital trust system. A merchant in Harappa could sell fabric to someone far away in Mohenjo-Daro, both confident in the accuracy and value of their exchange. That kind of shared standard fostered trust and efficiency, contributing to one of the most organized and sophisticated economies of the ancient world. What makes this achievement even more remarkable is that it was accomplished without digital tools, lasers, or precision machines. Using natural materials like sand and stone and remarkable ingenuity, the people of the Indus Valley established a measurement system so reliable that it influenced regions beyond their own, including Persia, Mesopotamia, and Central Asia. Of course, a civilization isn't only about science and trade. It's also about the soul. Let's journey inward with a practice that continues to touch lives even today. A soft, ancient chant drifts on the wind, recalling practices from over 5,000 years ago in the Indus Sarasvati civilization. Yoga began not in gyms or on social media, but in the Vedas, sacred texts that described it as a spiritual path to calm the mind, discipline the body, and seek higher awareness. By the 2nd century CE, the sage Patanjali organized yoga into a system in the Yoga Sutras, outlining breath control, meditation, ethics, and postures, principles still followed today. This text became a key guide for both the spiritual and practical sides of yoga. In the 19th century, Western interest grew, and yoga spread across Europe and America. It evolved from sacred practice to a global wellness movement worth billions, embraced by people of all kinds. Yet at its heart, yoga remains a path to inner balance and connection with the world. Whether you're stretching at home or chanting outdoors, you are part of a tradition that has flowed through the centuries. And as minds found balance, bodies found care. What started as a healing massage in India would eventually wash over the globe in more ways than one. Before shampoo came in plastic bottles scented like lavender or coconut, it was something far more natural and personal. In 18th century India, it began as a gentle ritual, oils warmed by hand, slowly massaged into the scalp, blended with herbs like neem, amla, and shikakai. It wasn't just for cleansing hair, it was also a way to calm the mind and body, a form of therapeutic touch. The word shampoo comes from the Hindi word champo, meaning to soothe or knead. In 1762, this comforting practice drew the attention of British traders. Imagine a British officer, newly arrived from London's cold climate, experiencing for the first time the warmth and aroma of a traditional Indian head massage. His eyes close. The tension fades. He feels more than clean, he feels rejuvenated. Intrigued, the British took this concept back to England. Over time, the herbal paste changed. it turned into a liquid. It produced lather. It became something you could bottle and sell. But at its core, it remained rooted in Indian tradition. From the clay basins of Bengal to the modern spa, the journey of shampoo is one of evolution, a humble healing practice transformed into a global beauty essential. But India's influence didn't stop at soothing the scalp. What they wore and how they made it transformed fashion across continents. As early as the 5th millennium BCE, Indian civilizations were cultivating and spinning cotton, among the first in the world to do so. The threads they produced weren't just practical. They were light, washable, and cool in the scorching heat. So elegant and useful that Indian cotton fabrics soon traveled along trade routes to Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Mediterranean, where they became highly sought after. But India's influence on ancient fashion didn't stop with textiles. In the Kashmir Valley, the origins of cashmere, one of the world's most luxurious wools, can be traced. Taken from the soft undercoat of mountain goats, this fine fiber was woven into shawls so delicate they could pass through a ring. Cashmere became a symbol of prestige and refinement, worn by emperors and elites across Asia and Europe. And then there are the buttons. Over 5,000 years ago, artisans in the Indus Valley carved seashells into small discs, each with 2 holes for fastening. Initially decorative, these discs gradually evolved into functional tools for securing garments, becoming the early ancestors of modern buttons. If this video made you rethink what ancient civilizations were capable of, give it a like. Let's bring hidden history to light. And as we step closer to modernity, another Indian mind would quietly spark a revolution, not in fabric or food, but in the invisible waves that carry our voices today. When people think of radio communication, names like Marconi often come to mind. He received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1909 for his pioneering work. But there's another key figure whose contributions came even earlier, Sir Jagdish Chandra Bose. In 1895, Bose demonstrated wireless communication by transmitting electromagnetic waves across 75 feet at Town Hall in Kolkata. The signal passed through walls, rang a bell, and triggered a small mechanical device, an early and remarkable proof of concept. Interestingly, Bose had developed a component called the mercury coherer, which later influenced other advancements in radio technology. While Marconi would go on to patent his system, Bose chose not to patent his inventions. His contributions were recognized more fully only many years later, earning him a place in the story of radio's evolution. If you found today's video interesting, don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Your support is very important to us. Be sure to check out the next video appearing on your screen. You're sure to love the content we bring. Please leave a comment about which country you'd like us to explore next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.